Hi, I'm Vika Miller, and today I want to talk about our core value. This is the connection that we have with ourselves and the way that we know and relate to ourselves. That is the foundation for our entire life and for all of the relationships that we have with other people. I like to think of this as my ideal self, my true self, my essential self. The person that I most want to be, and the person who I truly am at the depths of my being. So regardless of what has happened to me, regardless of how I've been affected by life, how I've been able to cope with that, this is the truth of who I am at the deepest levels. And then if I were able to recover fully from anything that had happened to me, that has separated me from the deepest truth about who I am and what I'm capable of, this is what would emerge naturally. In the same way that if you take a cork and you pull it under the surface of water, that's not where a cork would naturally go. It's not part of a cork's nature to be underwater. If you can just find a way to let go of the forces that hold that cork under the surface of the water, it would naturally rise to the surface. And so who we truly are is like that as well. That there are forces that start to submerge or have us lose our connection with who we truly are. A lot of energy, a lot of pain often goes into disconnecting us. And as we learn to restore our natural connection with our felt sense of things, our felt sense of what's right and true for us, we restore this connection with our true self, and it begins to emerge more and more naturally. So there's a core practice to start to reawaken and reestablish our relationship with who we truly are, and to start to cultivate and blossom the natural expression of that in our everyday lives. So the place to begin is to consider, what are those values or those ways of being that we cherish, respect, admire, and aspire to the most? When our primary relationship with ourselves rests on that foundation, we create a foundation of acceptance and dignity and compassion, this room to be human that changes everything. Especially if we can really cleave to what we value and say, even if the people around me don't value these things, I do. This is the center of my world. As Martin Luther said, here I stand. I can do no other. When we cleave to ourselves in this way, and let this be our home in this life. And then look for people who share our values, who also delight in what we're shooting for, who see the vision of what's possible in ourselves and in others. Then we get the confirmation, the secure attachment, and the sense of community that we absolutely require in order to grow and feel safe and at home in this world. But it all begins with coming home to ourselves, being clear about who we want to be, and knowing that our longing is telling us who we really are. And the rest is just growing, something that we are all doing. Even those who look like they have it all together, they really don't. We all have this core of uncertainty, needing to know who we are, and needing to have other people be able to say, yes, I see that in you. I recognize you. And I give you room to grow into that. This is a time of year when a lot of us are visiting family and being with people who don't necessarily see us in the way that we would hope to be seen, don't necessarily recognize who we really are. It's a very important time to bring this with us. So a core practice can be to connect with who we really are and really feel what would it be like to be fully embodying who we most want to be, our ideal self. Let ourselves step into that way of being. Step into what it feels like to be who we really want to be. And then practice that, almost like playing a role in our lives. See how much we can live from that place. I recommend touching into this place an absolute minimum of twice, when we first wake up in the morning and last thing before we go to sleep at night, to ground in this truth of who we are and what we're up to. This is what we're up to, becoming this ideal self that we long to be. I think it's a great idea to do it as many times as we can during the day. 12 is an excellent number to shoot for. Again, not punishing ourselves if we don't do it, but just let it become a practice that we keep orienting to this person that is the truth of who we are. It doesn't matter how big the gap is. What matters is what we're orienting to. It's kind of like having a target on a barn, right? If that's the target, I'm just going to keep shooting at that. I'm going to keep relating to that. That is what my attention is on. That is what my life is about. When I see that I've missed the mark, I just gently bring myself back on. I ask myself, well, what happened there? Why couldn't I live my values? What do I need to learn to support me in doing a better job? But always with gentleness, compassion, and dignity. This is the human journey. What would the world be like if this was what we were up to every day, and that the way we spent our money and our time and our energy was focused on this inner nourishment, this inner cultivation of power and capacity? I hope you found this helpful. I would love to hear your comments about how this has worked for you. If you have particular practices or ways that you've tweaked this that work best for you, please share. You're the expert about what supports your thriving and your blossoming into the person that you most long to be. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for your companionship on the journey. Bye for now.